Hey everyone, welcome to Split Screen. My name is Freddy Nalasco and I'm here with the Corvallis Melee group. But before we get down to a good session of Melee, let's go over to the news and find out what's going on in your gaming world.
Welcome to the news!
Welcome! I am Aaron Meche.
And I'm Max Bettendorf.
And we're going to inform you on the gaming news that we think is important this week.
Well, today it is quite cold at OSU, Oregon State University. I hope you are bundled up because we are going to tell you all you need to know about the new Halo TV show.
And Microsoft is getting a new CEO.
A new CEO. We're also going to tell you about the upcoming Uncharted movie.
Ooh, Nathan Drake. EVE Online had a massive battle last week, and we're going to tell you all the details.
We're going to finish you up with The Order 1886.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start off with Halo. The big announcement came that Steven Spielberg will produce a Halo TV show. And after that came a flood of big questions. Who will direct it?
Who will star in it?
Will it suck?
I really hope not. But the Latino Times has reported that Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9 and Elysium, may direct the pilot episode.
Yeah. And
yeah, that's just the pilot episode. I mean, it won't prove anything, but it will be a nice start.
Yeah, and Neil was tapped back in 2007 to direct a short Halo film to show how he would like the movie to look. And it looks incredible.
So beautiful.
Take a look at it.
It looked amazing.
But
everything about it. Yeah, but the project was scrapped.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this time, with Spielberg in the works, Halo might actually deliver on its futuristic promises.
Yep, this is all still a rumor, but Microsoft has released a statement saying it will have more to share regarding the overall creative team in the near future.
Well, that sounds like a statement that is stating that it will have a statement for us later in statement format.
Yeah, and let's hope it gets here before the Covenant does.
Well, so the series is slated for release later this year and will be available through Xbox Live only. To see the whole video, look up Halo Landfall.
All right, and be ready and aware that we might be seeing yet another video game-inspired movie coming our way in the near future.
Another one?
Oh, yeah. They love to do that to us. Give the people what they want.
Pick out the things that people like most, like video games, and throw it into a movie. Seth Gordon, the director of both Horrible Bosses and Identity Thief, has recently been in negotiation to be the director of the upcoming Uncharted movie.
Wow, that would be insane.
Insane.
A huge movie. If this deal is made, we will be able to marvel at one of PlayStation's biggest and most epic video game series on the big screen.
Oh, the big screen. Imagine seeing all of those epic Drake scenes on the big screen in theaters. But because of the success of many of Seth Gordon's earlier films, Jason Bateman might be our best bet to be honored with the chance to play Drake in the upcoming film.
A lot of people say Jason Bateman might not be the right guy to do it because he's more of a comedy guy, and they want to see an action star. Mark Wahlberg was approached to do it a couple years ago. That fell through. A lot of fans are saying Nathan Fillion should be the one to fill in Nathan Drake's spot. And I think after the great job he did as Mal in Firefly, he deserves another sci-fi, well, it's not really sci-fi, but a video game, a nerdy series.
Well, our job as fans now is just to sit back and hope that they can do it right.
Exactly. So, Max, have you ever missed a bill payment?
Well, actually, no, because I've never had a bill.
Oh, well, they kind of suck. Yeah. A massive battle broke out over a missed payment on a station in EVE Online, with official figures putting the total economic cost of the battle at 11 trillion interstellar credits.
Interstellar credits?
Interstellar
11
credits.
trillion?
Wow.
What are interstellar credits?
Well, much of the damage has been due to the destruction of ships called Titans, which cost 120 billion interstellar credits. That's valued about $3,000 each.
Well, I'd like to say that interstellar credits is the in-game currency to the game.
Of course.
EVE Online.
And it's equivalent to $1 is the equivalent to 35 million in in-game money.
Interstellar credits.
That puts the total of damage somewhere around 300,000 real American dollars.
Yeah, and to put that into perspective, we had our math monkey crunch some numbers. Math monkey?
Mm-hmm.
That much would buy you 12 bananas.
No, that's this one. That one, yeah.
Okay, good job.
Bad monkey. It would buy you 630 Xbox Ones.
Ooh.
Wow. 12 giraffes.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, yummy.
Yeah, very nice.
And 210 of the best Steam machines available to date.
Wow.
Well, 75 Titans were lost on this infamous day. Never forget.
Never forget.
All right, let's forget that.
Bill
Gates.
Bill Gates has recently stepped down as chairman of Microsoft and decided that he would now take on the title of founder and technology advisor.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what technology advisor means.
But it sounds cool.
It is. And Microsoft is also changing its CEO.
Again?
Yes.
At the same time.
For the third time in the company's history. The company's current CEO, Steve Ballmer, is set to be replaced by Microsoft's head of cloud and enterprise, Satya Nadella.
This change is rumored to have been made due to Ballmer's poor work as CEO, threatening to fire anyone who is challenging him as head of the company.
Like horrible bosses.
Jason Bateman, okay.
Instead, they want someone who can understand the company and make both employees and their users happy. And I would say that Microsoft has done a good job at making me happy. I mean,
I've had a few little flaws, like blue screens.
Red rings of death.
No.
Always gets me the red rings of death.
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, it is. But we aren't really sure what that means for the future of Xbox. But we're all going to hope that it's for the better.
Yeah. All right, so everyone is suddenly buzzing about this new game from Ready at Dawn Studios called The Order 1886.
Oh, people love new games.
Yeah, but this one seems a little bit different.
Oh, it's different.
The alternate history-themed game followed Galahad, a member of a secret order that battles an ancient enemy called half-breeds. Ooh, not full-breeds. The game trailer was generated in-engine, and take a look. It looks incredible. New screenshots have recently leaked also, showing a dark atmosphere, foreshadowing kind of the mood of the game. Ooh. It's going to be nice and creepy. In this world, the technologies that emerged from the Industrial Revolution helped the Order fight a 100-year war against the demonic-looking half-breeds. Expect plenty of action, suspense, and horror.
Is it romance?
No, no romance. From this next-gen single-player project. And keep following Ready at Dawn Studios as they try to meet our futuristic expectations of how the past should look.
Well, that's all the news we have here for today. I'm Max Bettendorf.
I'm Aaron Meche.
We'll see you later.
Great news, guys. That was really informative. So, before we get into playing, let's figure out who's actually playing. Just to get a good sense of what everyone's doing in Melee. My main is Game & Watch. I like to joke around, cook, frying pan, and whatnot. Which character is your main and why?
My name's Devin Daeschel, and I'm a Fox main. I like using Fox a lot because he's a character with like near infinite potential. There's a ton of things you can do with him. So he's a rewarding character to get good with and really fun to use.
Good to know, good to know.
My name's Paul Niman. I used to main Falco, still play him every once in a while, but now I actually main Luigi more. I like him because he slides around a lot and he's fun to troll people with.
Trixie.
My name's Logan. I usually play Yoshi. He's a really interesting character, has lots of little specific things only to him, and he's really technical, so there's lots of things you can do with him, which I always think's interesting, and he's fun to use. But, I mean, I mess around with other characters a lot, but Yoshi's definitely my favorite. He's just so unique. That's what I like about him.
All right, sounds good. let's see these characters in action. I'm excited to see this. So we got some 2v2 right now. Settings are all set up, and let's just get straight into it. Go ahead and pick the stage. You guys are the experts in this game. I am just going to try and stay alive. So for our first match, we're all our mains. This should be the best one ever. So, in case anyone is wondering, Melee is not the newest Super Smash Bros. Game out there, but yet lots of people are playing it, hence an entire group dedicated to it. Can you guys talk about a little bit about why people still play Melee, even though Brawl is newer?
Well, Brawl is, I think most people would agree that Brawl is a fun game, but from a competitive standpoint, the developers took out a lot of things that add depth and skill to the game. And with those things taken out, a lot of players just stuck with Melee.
Okay.
One example is like movement speed, or like how quickly you can string moves together. Brawl's really slow, like in terms of like there's a lot of lag, so you have to plan your moves out a little more. Whereas Melee, you can usually get more impressive combos and do more damage off a single hit.
Okay. Sounds pretty important. Yeah. For the since the viewers at home can't tell, we're playing on a CRT because CRTs don't have any lag. And apparently lag is very important to Melee players when it comes to frames and technical stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of near frame perfect techniques in this game. And having any lag at all can really mess some of that up.
So can all three of you see like how many frames every move is taking, or have you just memorized that?
You can't really see in the middle of a game certain moves, but when you're actually the one playing, since there's so much stuff that requires you to be nearly frame perfect, you can immediately tell if you're playing on like an LCD that has even like a couple frames of lag, which is different than other games like Call of Duty, for example, other competitive games where they don't require a CRT. Melee is really unique in that fashion.
Sweet. Good to know. You guys spoke about competitive. Obviously, you're the Corvallis Melee group. How often do you guys have tournaments?
In Corvallis, usually the only tournaments we have are done at gaming club lands. We just have a Melee tournament on the side there. But there are tournaments that we go to in Eugene, Portland, even out-of-state ones, such as in Washington. Actually, a couple weekends ago, Logan and I, we went to Apex 2014, which was in New Jersey. It's one of the biggest national Melee tournaments out there, so that was really fun.
How big did these tournaments get?
It was like 700.
Yeah, there were 600 some Melee entrants for singles only. There also had Brawl there and Project M, but Melee was by far the biggest.
Right. And does every single one of these 700 people compete in the same bracket, or are there multiple brackets?
They set it up so there's actually a pool system, so the top, I think, 2 from round 1 bracket will advance to a series of round 2 brackets, and the top 2 from that will advance into the top 8 final bracket. But all of them are in one overall big bracket.
Impressive. As you could probably tell, I'm not into the competitive scene. I'm just trying to stay afloat. But how do you guys think I'm holding up? Ignore that I just died. But
you're doing pretty well. The thing about Melee that's really weird is since it's so fast-paced, there's lots of there's like a skill gap getting past the speed of the game. Because when you introduce the competitive Melee, there's lots of things like if you hit L as your tangential to the ground, you'll actually have your landing lag. And little stuff like that speeds up your character quite a bit. And while you're not used to that, it'll actually change the flow of the game a lot. It's hard to catch up on.
yeah, I did some initial research on figuring out, what moves my characters that I've grown to love have. One of the important things I learned was each character actually has their moves named so that you can identify them.
Yeah.
Like Game & Watch has a chair and a match that are called such simple names.
Yoshi has some pretty awesome ones. I think his forward smash is called the Noggin Floggin, according to Nintendo. One of the better names.
And I assume if I just named a random melee move, you would be able to tell me which character has it and what the button combination to activate it is.
Actually, a lot of times Melee players discuss in shorthand, so the official Nintendo names aren't relatively well known. Like, aerial moves are always abbreviated by their direction coupled with the word air. So forward air, the aerial you do hitting A and forward, would be called fair, which is F for forward and air. So a lot of the moves I probably wouldn't know.
Yeah, I remember looking online, I just saw abbreviations that were not explained anywhere. The only one that I could make sense was DI.
Yeah, a lot of the people are used to talking to other competitive players, so everything's abbreviated into shorthand, and it gets really complicated, especially like abbreviations for specific characters. So like Yoshi has RECE, which is like you can shoot eggs backwards like this.
No, you can have it. All right. I was looking at that percentage. I wasn't going to take your last life and just try and hold our team afloat.
We got to put team attack on after this.
Okay, we can do that. We can definitely do that. So, you guys wipe the floor with me. How often do you guys practice?
We, well, every Friday we have Smash Fest, so we'll invite a whole bunch of people over to our house. Logan and me live together. And we usually get about, 10 people to come to these fests?
Sometimes up to 10, I mean, but we're not limited to just the Fridays. Fridays are a big night, but since we live together and we actually have one other person that plays a lot with us, his name's Joey, we actually play, probably somebody's playing every day. Individually, we probably play every other day or every third day for sure. It's, but Friday is when it peaks out. Like, 10 would be on the higher side, I think, but.
And yeah, I know for myself that I at least try and practice like some technical skill on my own, even if not playing with other characters by myself, just to get into the hang of it. And so what we just did is we turned friendly fire on. In teams matches, when you're playing, you're actually not allowed to have friendly fire off because that results in a lot of crazy like infinite combos and stuff, and it just requires more skill and teamwork if you can actually hurt your opponent.
And it also enables, if team attack is on, like say your teammate is off stage and is going to die, you can actually intentionally hit him with a move to let him use his up B again to save him and help him recover.
Cool. It also requires a little more to not hit your teammate.
Yeah.
I think everyone's done.
Yep.
So all the stages that we've been playing on are some of the few stages of this game which are considered competitively viable, because there's a lot of stages that will drastically favor certain characters. So in competitive settings, we limit the stages that can be used.
Oh, so close. Yeah, I noticed some of these have very drastic stadium changes where the entire stadium will change, like the Pokemon Stadium just did. This one just has the air blowing. But can you guys give an example of a stage that would favor a certain character?
Fox stages.
So, Fox, Pokemon Stadium, the one that you were just talking about. So one of Fox's best kill moves is his up smash, which is he does a little backflip, and it's one of the strongest moves in the game in terms of hitting you upwards. And Pokemon Stadium has a really low blast ceiling, so you can kill people at lower percents on it with Fox because you can up smash them and they'll die off the top of the stage. So that's an example of one stage that would favor a certain character. Final Destination, a lot of people would agree that it favors Falco because there aren't platforms and you can shoot lasers and it makes it harder for you to dodge them if there's lasers constantly being fired at you.
And additionally, most stages that have a wall on them are pretty much banned because it really favors certain characters, Fox being the prime example, he has a combo where you can just infinitely give damage to people on walls.
Yeah.
All right.
Or there's also ones that have side blast zones where you can just outright kill them off the side, and you just carry them across and just throw them off the edge. It's pretty hard to get around.
Yeah, any stage that doesn't have an edge is not a competitive stage because the edge is a huge part of Melee, which sets it apart from other fighters.
Okay. Is there anything else that's usually banned during tournaments? Like characters or?
There's no characters that are banned. There's a lot of stages that aren't allowed. So currently, there's only 5 stages that are, or 6 total for singles. So there's Final Destination, Battlefield, Dreamland, which we're playing on now, Pokemon Stadium, Yoshi's Story, and Fountain of Dreams. And there used to be a lot more stages allowed in tournaments in the early days of Melee, but like one by one they've just eliminated them from tournaments because they've found out stuff about the stages that really favor certain characters.
Okay. Good stuff. I'm learning a lot. Have you guys looked into the new Smash Bros. Game coming out later this year for the Wii U and 3DS?
I personally haven't, but
I've looked into it a bit, and what's unfortunate about it is that it's running on the same engine as Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which, as we discussed earlier, is not very competitively favored. So there's some concern about that, and also concern about using a lot of wireless controllers at huge Smash Fest and tournaments that might interfere with each other. So while I mean, every Smash game I think is an awesome game, and I'm sure Smash 4 will be very fun too, but on a competitive level it's kind of concerning. No one really thinks it's going to be as competitive as Melee is.
Right. How do you guys feel about Project M modifying the Brawl engine to resemble that of the Melee engine? You guys played a lot with it?
I haven't played very much with it, but I think it's actually really cool because it's really similar to Melee if you play it. When you play Falco or Fox or characters that are in Melee in Project M, usually the skill will transfer over. But then there's also all the Brawl characters that you get to try out also when you play Project M. So it's almost like extending Melee and giving all those characters that were in Brawl.
Right.
And they tweaked a few of the characters. So far, from what I can tell, they've done a really good job at balancing Project M. You'll see a much wider variety of people playing characters in tournaments than you do in Melee.
Yeah, last week on Split Screen, you can check out the episode on KBVR. We played a little bit Project M when we had our Wii show, and that was a lot of fun. Some of the things that I noticed was Pikachu's down A has a larger hitbox than it usually does, which makes it just kind of insane. It's the only kind of thing I've noticed, because it brings in everyone that's in this vicinity.
Yeah, it's interesting. What Project M did was it kept the best characters in Melee almost completely identical. So those characters are pretty much the same. So a lot of the Melee metagame is in that. But then they just took all the other characters that were worse and the characters from Brawl and tried to bring them up to that level.
Yeah. Yes, since Game & Watch is my main, he's one of the other characters that I noticed a lot of changes with. How he can finally cancel out of his parachute, save a little bit of time as far as that goes.
One problem I've had with Project M is a lot of the characters have slight differences, one of the most extreme ones being Yoshi. Since I play Yoshi all the time in Melee, having it change the way it does is really upsetting to me. It's because he has one maneuver that he always does at the ledge really well, which is where he'll throw an egg from the edge and re-grab it. And the timing to do that for Melee is slightly different, and if you do it for Melee, the Melee timing for Project M, you'll kill yourself, and vice versa. So it's pretty hard. It's hard to switch back and forth because they're so similar. You'll try to play them like the same character.
Did not know that. I noticed one of the things, especially with Jigglypuff now that I'm seeing her in her action, her little rolling attack that she does, she actually can't cancel out of it in Project M. I don't know if I need to update or whatnot, but that was just one of the oddest changes that I've ever seen. How do you guys feel about going back to the new Super Smash Bros. Coming out? The DS and Wii U will have different stages depending on which version you play.
That'll be interesting. I don't know how that's going to interact. I'm just going to go ahead and assume, based on what I already know about the competitive scene, that it's going to primarily focus on console, just because it's likely to have more fleshed out physics engines or something like that.
Yeah.
And for sure, it's just going to focus on one of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably going to be a bigger scene for one, and people who play both will gravitate to the bigger scene.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that they really pressed on the new Smash Bros. Game is that since the DS has a smaller screen, just because it's the DS, they've actually added a black outline so you can differentiate your character from the background. And they've tried to make the backgrounds much more vivid so you can really tell where your character is.
Yeah, it's definitely good because some of the earlier versions of the 3DS have a pretty small screen, so that should definitely help. And in a game like Smash, where movement is so crucial, and you need to know where your character is at all times, that's a welcome change.
Yeah. One of the small things, now I'm just thinking about all these things I've looked up, Bowser is standing up slightly more than he's ever stood up.
Yeah, that's an interesting graphical change. It's cool.
Yeah.
Massive. Have you seen that guy compared to Mario in the Smash games? It's actually ridiculous.
On that subject, have you ever compared like Wario's height and tried to figure out how tall he is in real life?
Is he 8 feet tall?
He's like,
Is he 3 feet tall?
I thought he was like 10 feet tall last time he did the pixel count compared to what he's supposed to be at. So it's just ridiculous.
10-foot tall Warriors.
There's
crazy.
There's like a video out there on YouTube where they calculate how much force would be required by Wario's fart cannon to actually propel you into the air.
Interesting. Is it a small airplane?
It was such an interesting video, just doing all the calculations. They did another one on how if turning into a ball for Samus would be actually possible. And doing the math, Samus's ball isn't actually that small, and most people could fit into that ball just by crouching and like hugging their knees. It's interesting what people do on their free time.
Yeah, actually, when we were talking about frames earlier today, and like how stuff has to be frame perfect, there's one of the most well-known Super Smash Bros. Melee players. His tag is Mewtwo King. He actually has spent so much time going into the game and figuring out precisely like how many frames each move is, how long the hitbox is out, all sorts of crazy technical data that you can find by using like action replays or going through frame by frame in the game. And so that's how a lot of people know. Like if you ask someone why some certain character is better than another one, they'll say, well, their moves come out faster, have more priority, have bigger hitboxes.
Whenever Mewtwo King's first on as frame data was crazy apparently though, because he'd actually take different moves and buffer controllers at the exact same timing and compare them to one another, like the timing it would take for one to do an action versus the other, and see how many different frames he could like beat it. So like you'll find out move A will beat move B by like being able to put a shield barely, and then move C can beat move B, and then he actually found out a hierarchy of how fast everything is based off of that kind of.
So a complete technical matchup of move by move.
Yeah, relating their speeds and then eventually deriving the individual frames of each move.
Do you know if like it's complete like every single combination? Because that would be ungodly.
Well, I don't know, because at a certain point people started just hacking the game with AR, at which point doing that by hand wouldn't really be necessary. I have a copy actually on my computer of just the files with the numbers on each move. It's publicly available at this point, so I don't know if he completed it by the time somebody hacked the game and came out with that, but I think so.
Okay. There's this entire underground community that just kind of passes by most people's.
Yeah, the community itself is pretty impressive when you consider Melee is at least 13 years old, and there's still a very strong competitive community. People play this game all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have formed a club of people who are willing and wanting to play this game with other people. Because I'm sure playing against bots gets old after a while.
Very much so.
So how often do you guys practice?
Logan and I play at least, almost like every day, at least 4 times a week. Because 3 of the people in my house, or in our house, play competitively. So just anytime we're bored, hey, you want to play Melee?
It's actually how we ended up being roommates. I met Paul playing Smash a couple years ago when I was a freshman. He was a sophomore. He was already in the scene. That's how we started becoming friends.
And yeah, it's the same for me. I met these guys through the Facebook group and through the game, so definitely meet some cool people playing Melee.
So Melee is definitely a bonding agent between you guys.
Yeah.
So much is going on right now.
Falco takes me prisoners.
Crazy. So when you guys practice, do you just spend the entire couple hours with your main, or do you change it up, just try and keep it fresh?
In singles, usually the trend seems to be we'll start off playing mains, and then as time goes on, we'll switch to more and more characters and switch it up more.
Oh god.
That's nice.
Also, like, we change over time. Sometimes, like, some days, like, I might just want to play Fox a whole bunch, or I might just invest in Yoshi. One thing that people change a lot, a big part of your skill is just like how you can predict your opponent and how well they can predict you, and like your choices of like a rock, paper, scissors kind of option set. And you can practice that with any character, so you can try to get just intuitively better at the game just based on getting into your opponent's head better. So you don't have to necessarily play your main to get better while you're practicing.
All right, and out of you 3, which, I'm not gonna try and start a war, but which one?
Paul.
Which one is the best?
I'd say Paul's accepted as the best. Although technically, Oregon does have a ranking system, and I'm higher than Paul because he's not ranked. But that's because he missed a couple tournaments, and the people who write the rankings considered him inactive. But I think overall, I would consider Paul probably the best here.
And how many people are on this ranking system?
It's only the top 10 that are ranked, but there's a lot of people in the general group that's competitive that are competing for the spots. There's probably around 50, I guess. The big monthly tournament that happens in Oregon is called Guardian Games, and it usually can net around 50 people each month, with a couple people, like one carpool coming from Washington on average. Usually nobody comes up from California or like Idaho or anything. Actually, no, last time we had 2 people come from Idaho. So there's definitely a lot of diversity.
People all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your guys' group is called Corvallis Melee. What percentage of the group is not affiliated with Logan State University?
Probably, well, Corvallis Melee is more like Corvallis, Albany area, and we have a few people from Albany that we talk to. So I would say in the Corvallis, Albany area, everyone from Corvallis, as far as I know, is actually a student.
Okay.
Or used to be a student.
Yeah. We have some people that have moved out even, like, so Paul's brother used to play, and he graduated, then he moved out to Washington.
Crazy. Chicken Puff's over there singing.
Yep.
So, why do you guys still play Melee? Is it just because it's fun? There's no other game that's captivated you as much?
I would say that's probably about as accurate as you can get. Like I've played this game since it came out in 2001. Not competitively, but like even the 64 version, I'd play a lot with my brother and my cousins, and it's by far has the most replay value out of any game I've ever played. And it's always fun to play it, even when you're not playing competitively. It's still tons of fun.
Yeah, I remember growing up just doing target tests, just getting familiar with every character. Like, all right, it took me so long to figure out Ness's little star doodad.
Yeah.
I didn't know for the longest time that you could actually control that, name it.
Yeah, Smash Brothers is a really popular game, so like a lot of people have played it as a kid and stuff, but not many people obviously start taking it to this level, but that is just how most people's origin is. You just play it as a kid and then you start finding out about the deeper technical side of the game. You just kind of get sucked in.
Yeah. This game, the original Super Smash Bros. For the N64, actually just had its 15-year anniversary. It came out in '99, and people are still playing that even.
Yeah.
I was at the LAN and people were busting it out, playing with all those polygons.
Why are there 3 Captain Falcons?
Now I feel left out. I didn't get the memo.
It's almost like a Smash thing, the Falcon Quad, the legendary Falcon 4-way. Falcon's always been one of the more hyped characters, so he has his own little subculture.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the faces of Smash.
Little Falconites everywhere.
Yeah, and actually, I can't remember who said this, but there's a player that once said, like, everyone roots for the Falcon main because people who play Falcon don't play to be the best. They play to like excite the crowd and hype up the game.
Just with their taunts and being overall exciting.
And the way the combos work. He'll just string moves together forever and then finish you with a knee.
And of course, Falcon Punch.
What a way to call it. It's also kind of unfortunate because the way Falcon plays out, he's such a big character that falls so quickly. He hits the ground a lot, and it's easy for characters to keep just throwing him to the ground and like following him afterwards. Because he ends up having a pretty slow tech roll, which is when you hit the ground and try to roll in direction. So a lot of characters can actually follow him pretty well, and he gets beat on pretty badly. So he's a really wild character because he's probably the easiest character among the commonly played characters to like shut out, but he's also so dangerous once he gets in.
Right. I noticed Ganondorf has a very identical moveset. What are the differences in those two? Speed?
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of characters have like clone characters which have similar movesets.
Like young Link and Link.
Yeah, but those small differences can make there's small differences, but they make like a huge difference in the grand scheme of things in the competitive play. Like the most drastic example is Marth and Roy, who have very similar movesets, and Marth is easily considered one of the best characters in the game, whereas Roy is he's just trash. No one uses him.
He's like the little brother everyone just ignores.
Not even ignored. He's just so bad.
Don't let him in the house. Don't let him out. I don't have a brother.
And in that case, the main reason that there's such a difference is Marth, his moves all have the sweet spots, or the strong portion of the move is on the tip of your sword. So naturally you'll have more range and you can space your moves better. But for some reason, Roy's sword is only strong right at the base where he's handling it, or where he's holding it. So you have to be really close to your opponent to hit them with the good part of your move, and it makes him just not viable.
Yeah, well, that itself sounds kind of backwards, because using an actual sword, most of your strength and speed are going to be on the tip of the sword, where you're just using physics rather than actual brute strength to do all your damage. This is planning out to be very interesting. There's just so many fists flying. And with two of you being red, one's just like a pale red.
Yeah.
Take this stock. Yeah, it's another aspect of playing teams. If you lose all your stocks before your teammate does, you can press start and you'll actually take one of those stocks.
Yeah,
it may seem selfish, but generally it's what you want to do because you don't want to be 2v1 ever.
Yeah, outnumbered or whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Except for in this case where I'm just going to be more of a hindrance than a help, so I'm just going to... Does anyone have any special Melee stories that just really drive home? Bragging rights or whatever?
Me and Paul recently in teams took out our Eugene counterparts, and
yeah,
that was pretty great.
They were really mad about that. Yeah, that was really good. When you're in tournaments, every once in a while you'll play that person where you beat them and they just throw a blind rage, you know, like throw their controller or break something, and it's like, at the time, it's just like really awkward, but then afterwards, it's like the greatest thing ever when you look back at it. You're so glad that it happened.
Smash is definitely one of the saltiest games ever.
So how many controllers has each of you smashed in the event of Smash? Any TVs under your belt?
No, actually, I haven't. It doesn't seem to be a theme in Corvallis. It's like some people in Portland do it. A couple people, or I don't know if anyone in Eugene really does it, but
Bart.
He's never broken anything. One of the first tournaments I went to, I beat someone, and I beat him with Falco, and then the next he got really mad when I beat him, and then the next day he went online and wrote a blog about how stupid of a character Falco is.
Did you find out about this blog just finding, or did he just
someone
seek you out?
told me about it? Because apparently he just has a history of hating Falco.
So this was just the final
That
straw.
same player recently threw a controller while losing to a different Falco in Corvallis. I think that was last month specifically.
Hey guys, I don't like Falco anymore, and I'm going to write a blog.
One of the Eugene players said he was quitting Melee because he lost to Celis. People get intense about this game.
This is a life-changing game. I've stocked Nintendo because of this game. Oh gosh. So, just bringing up more fun facts, because those are always fun. How do you guys feel about Pichu and his or her ability to damage itself? Because that doesn't seem like something you would want in a competitive fighting game.
Yeah, it never really made sense to me, but I mean, he doesn't really make a big impact because no one plays Pichu because he's trash.
Well, I figured that would be the main reason why he's trash. I don't want to play a
He also
character.
doesn't have any reach, which is problematic, and he's the lightest character, or second lightest character. It's
So
really easy to kill.
There's just a ton of problems with him, but yeah, the whole damaging thing, I don't know what the reason behind that was.
See, I always thought it was because he's not quite evolved to the level of Pikachu, so he doesn't know how to control his thunder. So every time he uses it, he just ends up hurting himself.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of like paying homage to the actual game. So I know in Pokemon, the game where he's from, that's supposed to be one of his quirks, is that he can hurt himself.
He just can't control his power.
Yeah.
It sounded about like his tail is used to ground himself, and he currently doesn't. Oh my goodness.
This might be a good time to talk about matchups, because the Marth Mewtwo matchup is close to like unwinnable for Mewtwo, so yeah, we played this game enough. Yeah, and it's a good time to talk about Johnning. Johnning is where you pretty much just make an excuse when you lose.
Prevalent thing in Melee because everyone always makes strong rivalries and nobody wants to lose that rivalry, especially like one thing that happens commonly is like crew battles. So you represent your team, so like Eugene versus Corvallis has happened several times. And you always want to, you don't want to let Corvallis down. So
You're representing, of course.
it was your controller's fault. Your controller can let Corvallis down. Who cares?
Gotta unplug it, get some dust out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, John is kind of a weird term, but the story goes there was some player called John who just had an excuse literally every time he lost. So people just started calling excuses Johns, and it just stuck in the whole community.
Not a good time to be Johns in the game.
Not a
Melee
good time
community.
to get into.
All right, and you were telling me a little bit about Silent Johnning.
Yeah, so there have been a couple times in tournaments where a player will lose a match and they'll walk up to the GameCube and unplug their controller and plug it back in. And people call that a silent John because you're not saying anything, but you're clearly implying that your controller was malfunctioning or doing something wrong.
Because there's no way I could have lost, ever.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Some third-party source is causing me to perform less than I know I can. That is, again, more lingo. I'm just learning all over the place. Also, Falco is not my character. I know this now.
You can take a life out for me.
How generous.
Yeah, so one thing they did in Brawl that's actually a really good design choice in my opinion was Start is the button to steal lives in Melee, but in Brawl they made it A and B at the same time because what will happen a lot is a teammate will want to take a life and accidentally pause the game by hitting Start one too many times, or if they press it too early, and it can really throw off a game if your teammate's about to kill someone. The game gets paused. It can totally change the outcome of the game. So usually they'll turn off pause, but I think A and B together is just a better decision overall.
Yeah, so you just had to put in more effort to actually take this life, and it doesn't trigger anything. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, pausing in general is just like taboo pretty much because when you pause, it just messes up the flow of the game, the timing extremely. So pretty much sometimes even in tournaments, if you accidentally pause the game, people require you to take a stock on yourself just because it really does hurt the game when you're playing it.
Man. Has it ever gotten so bad that, you know, playing in practice, games pause? Completely new to this whole pause screen. It's been forever since I've seen this pause screen. Maybe that's just me. All right. Okay, so.
In the last game, you saw a lot of some of the stuff that makes like the skill barriers we were talking about earlier, like where Devin was talking about how Fox is a high skill character. So like a lot of the stuff that he can do is balanced out though, because he has so much potential. He can also get comboed super hard. Like he's so susceptible to getting edge guards because a lot of people can just go out there and finish him off. Or like the grab combos where you just grab and then follow people around and just re-grab or like and chase them. It's really prevalent in higher level Smash where people end up doing that.
Yeah, I know when I learned how to do an edge grab with Game & Watch, because that's the character I learned how to do it with, I just had so much fun. They think they're safe. I mean, most of my Melee expertise is playing, I think it's playing Brawl with my girlfriend, who always plays Kirby, because that's her favorite character. But as soon as she thought the edges were safe and I learned how to edge guard, it was way more entertaining to watch her lose.
Yeah, edge guarding is a very big piece of this game. There's whole strategies around just guarding the ledge because, I mean, traditionally you think you just hit the character off really hard and they just die off the side. But if you guard the ledge properly, you can get really easy kills at low percent. So it's a huge part of Smash.
But also, one of the more exciting elements, just because the way of like you have a jump and you can use it whenever you want, and it's just lots of weird little elements that are Smash exclusive. So like little micro situations where you'll be fine if you jump right away and they don't think you're going to jump right away and stuff like that. Or like there where I like followed you really down low off the stage.
Yep, making sure that I couldn't recover.
Yeah. But that was just under the assumption that you'd go low because that choice I made wouldn't have worked if you went high.
Right.
And in singles, it would have worked out fine and you would have gotten the kill and lived. But since it's doubles, it adds a whole nother element. So I came over and capitalized and just got an easy kill on him because he was in that bad position from edge guard.
Oh gosh, oh gosh. And I know the viewers at home probably can't hear it, but this entire time while we've been talking, these controllers are just so loud.
Yeah, GameCube controllers are pretty loud. And when you're playing a game like Melee, which has a ton of inputs all the time, probably like a few decibels on it. That's a lot.
And I just ran off the edge. That was not my best move. But I don't think I've had a best moment in this game. All right.
It's more about just having fun with it, though.
Yeah, I have definitely had a lot of fun today. It's getting intense. Captain Falcon. He's on my team. I got to root for him.
Oh. Actually, we were talking about matchups earlier. This is notorious for being like one of the worst high-tier matchups for Falcon.
Is it like Metapod versus Metapod, just Harden? If anyone knows that reference.
Oh God.
I'm fucking scared. Oh, sorry. Sheikah's done a crazy job of bringing this back. But this is hype. This is close. Oh, the knee.
Oh. That was great. All right, that is all the time we have for this week. Just want to thank my guests again from the Corvallis Melee group. You want to just say your guys' name one more time?
Yeah, I'm Devin Daeschel, Fox main of Corvallis.
I'm Paul Niman, Luigi main, and Best main.
I'm Logan, Yoshi main.
Cool.
Logan
And
Farm.
let's see, if anyone wanted to get in contact with you guys, to join up, play some Melee with you guys, what would be the best way to do that?
The Facebook group probably. It's just called Corvallis Melee, and usually you can just try to join the group and somebody will add you. We have a few different moderators on it and we'll add you in. You can just message somebody and ask when people are meeting up. Usually if you're available Friday nights, we'll send you an address if you like.
Friday at 6 usually, and I mean, we'll play for as long as people want to play, so.
Cool. Well, I'm not going to try and tell the future here, but I expect a lot of people to be interested in this after this airs. But that'll do it for this week. So thanks again. This has been Split Screen on KBVR. My name is Freddy Nalasco, and we'll see you next week.
Anything else that Hayden does, I like to do it too. What? Pictures of me up upon your wall for the world to see. 'Cause I can't live with or without you whenever I fall. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. Can you feel the love tonight? I come from a land down under. Yeah. Once a job.